What's up, everybody? Charlie Marlow here. Let's talk about this Bill Belichick not getting in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, reportedly. In his first year on the ballot, I put a tweet out there on X, and I got some folks riled up. Not a ton, but some. Patriot fans, I'm guessing. Not guessing. I think I know that based on their comments and their profiles. But I put a tweet out there just saying, look, if you didn't vote for Bill Belichick in the first year here, based on the cheating scandals, based on Spygate, you'd be totally justified in doing that. I don't even know how I would vote, to be honest with you. I think everybody knows Bill Belichick might be the greatest NFL coach of all time, deserving Hall of Famer, will be in the Hall of Fame next year for sure. It just doesn't bother me that he didn't get in on the first ballot. That's all I'm saying. And you can make the correlation, it's not apples to apples, but about PED guys in baseball. Those guys have had to wait, some of them too long, some of them still not in. But my whole point is that you lose the benefit of the doubt. When you cheat, when you're caught cheating, you just straight up lose the benefit of the doubt. So if Bill Belichick and the Patriots, if they didn't cheat during Spygate, this wouldn't be an issue. He'd be a frickin' unanimous first ballot Hall of Famer. So everybody crying, and it's all Patriot fans. It's all the mass holes out there. I love you guys. It's great. It's fun. But you're all crying. You did this. He did this. They did this to themselves. So I don't understand why people are all mad and feeling sorry about it. If you didn't cheat, then this wouldn't be an issue. He'd be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Easy. And we can make the correlation. So people are also saying, oh, tell me you're a St. Louis sports fan without telling me you're a St. Louis sports fan. I do live in St. Louis. And you can see on my Twitter bio, I'm from St. Louis. I'm honestly not a St. Louis sports fan. I'm really not. I mean, I live here. I've lived here for 18 years, so I want our teams to do well. But I didn't grow up rooting for these teams. I don't really have emotional attachment to the St. Louis sports teams. So that's not even why I had this opinion. I do have an emotional attachment to Ohio State football, and I made the correlation where it's like these Patriot fans and these Michigan fans, you had similar, again, not 100% apples to apples, but you had similar type scandals with the Connor Stallions deal, with the Spygate deal. And all these people are like, oh, there was minimal impact. And let's think about this, really think about this. You don't cheat for no reason. You just don't. You only cheat if it works. You're only cheating. You would only do all this. You'd only put yourself in the position to get caught, to get in trouble, to get fined, to lose your draft pick, whatever it was. You would only do these things if it helped you. I mean, this is just, if you don't understand this, I don't want to say you're stupid, because I know you're actually not stupid. You're such a fanboy that you're letting your fanboyness get in the way of clear thinking. This is like with politics. I'll go off on a tangent. This is like where you have people who are so partisan that they're dumb, in the sense that they can't even have any type of thought that's not like all Republicans are great and Democrats suck, or vice versa. Everything Democrats do is great, Republicans suck. You can't talk to these people because they're not using common sense. And this is what I'm talking about with any sports fans. It's not just Patriot fans. I remember a couple years ago where Jaguars fans were super mad at me when I was literally joking that Shad Khan should bring the Jaguars to St. Louis because we lost our team. And I was totally kidding. And the whole Duval Nation were just destroying me for weeks and weeks and weeks, which was an actual joke. I was kidding. We all know. I think I put a joke out there, like a picture of Shad Khan's yacht, and said, this yacht will soon be docked on the banks of the mighty Mississippi. And they were all mad about that. We would like an NFL team, though. So I will say this. If you say, oh, I'm bitter, because look, Rams fans and Rams players are pissed about this. Let's not pretend like they're not. There's a lot of other teams in those eras of whatever, Steelers. Look, if you feel like you lost a close game to the Patriots and this made a difference, they're allowed to feel that way. And here's another part. Because, look, I am pissed at the NFL for the way they treated St. Louis. They totally just hosed St. Louis, lied the whole time. Look that up if you don't know the story, when they left for LA. Total sham process. But here's another part. So some people have said, well, hey, it's not the Patriots' fault that the evidence was destroyed. Well, it was destroyed. Okay, so why did the NFL destroy the evidence? Nobody knows, except for who actually viewed those tapes. Nobody knows what was on those tapes. So you can't just say, oh, like you don't actually know what's on those tapes. There's zero transparency whatsoever with this process. So it is what it is. Like, people are allowed to form their own opinions or conclusions based on the fact that they don't know what was on those tapes. If they had released the tapes to everybody, people could say, okay, here's what was really on it. Here's the type of impact it made. So the fact that people never had that chance, they're going to draw their own conclusions. They're going to form their own opinions. Ipso facto, is that the way to say it? Anyway, somebody on X, also my mentions, asked, well, what do you do with Tom Brady then? And look, first of all, Tom Brady is going to be in the Hall of Fame. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Bill Belichick will be in the Hall of Fame next year. Let's not feel sorry for Billy B. He's got all those Super Bowls. I mean, he's got a freaking 24-year-old girlfriend. It's all good. But because somebody brought up Tom Brady, there's a big difference between a player. If you're a player and you benefited from whatever your team was doing, I find it very hard to believe that Tom Brady himself was in on the scheme. If you're in a leadership position, like Bill Belichick, it's a different story. You're the decision maker that's having your personnel do these things. Way different than players on the field, which, look, they probably did benefit. No, they did benefit because they wouldn't have done it if they didn't benefit. Now, what percentage of an advantage did they get? Was it 1%? Was it 5%? I don't freaking know. The players benefited from it, but I highly doubt that the players were the ones scheming to do all this. So Tom Brady's in, first ballot Hall of Famer. It's all good. You got to look at players differently than you look at folks in leadership positions. If we're talking about the owner, if we're talking about a GM, if we're talking about the head coach in this situation, which is Bill Belichick. All right. That's about all I got. Hey, I know probably a lot of Patriots fans are going to be watching this, but if you live in St. Louis, hook up my sponsors, Triad Bank. Best thing I ever did for my rental property business, taking all my commercial loans from a big national bank that didn't care about me to a local customer service relationship-based bank in Triad Bank. All right, over there in Frontenac, triadbanking.com. I think I've had 5 or 6 loans with them over the years. We got 2 now, line of credit on the house, got a rental property. This past summer, bought a different one, new one. And I had to call my guy, Matthew Tobin, on Memorial Day weekend to get the approval letter. Even though it was a holiday weekend, I hated doing it, but he hooked me up because that's the type of customer service you get at Triad Bank. And then also St. Louis Lawn Care, St. Louis Equipment, Lawn Care, stllawn.care.com for your mowing, your mulch. They do all kinds of landscaping. I got a juniper last year, a bunch of boxwoods. I got some arborvitae. But this time of year, I look outside right now, we got like 9 or 10 inches of snow at my house in the St. Louis area last weekend, and they have all the salt, all the plows. They can service your plows, like Mr. Plow, of course, Homer Simpson. But that's stlmowerrepair.com, St. Louis Equipment. They have bulk salt. They do it all. But this time of year, anything for plowing, anything for salt, they will hook you up. stlmowerrepair.com. It is St. Louis Equipment. All right, there you go. Not a super long video. The funny thing is, I don't even think what I'm saying is controversial at all. I think most reasonable people would agree with me. Of course, Patriot fans won't. But again, it's like politics. They're so partisan that their brains don't work when they're thinking about the team they like. That happens to me too sometimes with Ohio State. Although I feel like I try to be rational, but when you're emotionally attached to something, you don't think clearly, and that's what's happening here. Again, Bill Belichick, maybe the greatest NFL coach of all time. He'll be in next year. He's a Hall of Famer. It just doesn't bother me. I guess my point is, it just doesn't bother me that he's not in the first year. I think it's kind of funny, actually. It's kind of funny. It's good for debate. And look, it wasn't just one voter. What was it? You had to get however many, 40 out of 50. I think you could vote for like 3 out of the 5 candidates. That also kind of played into this. Our guy Vahe Gregorian wrote an article about this where he said he didn't vote for Bill Belichick, but it wasn't because of the cheating stuff. It was because he wanted to vote for these other candidates that were going to fall off the ballot. So that's also part of this process. But again, you can't really be mad. It wasn't like it was just one person. It was 20% of the folks, at least, that didn't vote for Bill Belichick. And I'll just close with this again. If you cheat, you lose the benefit of the doubt. Straight up. Sorry, Pats fans. Sorry, massholes. You won't agree with me, and I really don't care because you're not thinking straight. You're thinking like a fan. You cheat, you lose the benefit of the doubt. All right. Peace out. St. Louis Lawn Care, St. Louis Equipment, and Triad Bank. Love you all. See ya.